How's it going, Long Game Podcast? Damon Serafine here with Clay. Clay, how are you doing today?
I'm good.
That was short. Oh, wait, I have a question. What did you say in our opener last episode? You said something that was like grammatically incorrect. I think honestly,
If you're out here, I must be out here.
and I let it go, and we talked last week after that episode ended. That I'm like, dude, I just let you go, grammatically incorrect, but sometimes we make mistakes. We're rookie podcasters. No, and it's this whole bit that you didn't even tell me about. There's this like video online. This guy who's hiking and he sees his brothers out there, and he's anyway. So
He gets hyped up. He's like,
so
that gives me motivation.
I need to be. I must be out. And then you showed me the video, and it was the funniest thing. I was dying. Have you been watching any of the Olympics?
I have, yeah. I was watching the half pipe skiing. That was pretty awesome. Hockey, women's hockey, shout out, just won the championship.
Gold.
That was awesome. That female ice skater, like figure skater, who just got gold after, what was it, like 20 years since America has gotten a gold medal in the... Yeah, it was like 20 years since America has gotten a gold medal in like figure skating, like women's figure skating, and she just got it. So that was amazing.
You know, I saw this video of this guy. I don't know his name. It's this like white guy. He has like really nice hair. He's usually a lot of videos about football, like black background. It's very high production quality. Honestly, I don't know his name. Sorry, it's super vague. But he does these like big productions and stat breakdowns on like football, but he did it on the Olympics and how he's saying like his thesis with it, like the U.S. are like declining in like Olympic play right now.
Really?
I don't remember why. So, but I'm like, hey, because I think we're gonna finish second overall in medal count in gold, and then overall. I mean, listen, Norway's gonna finish number one.
What?
Dude, but Norway is just like all you can do is skiing, bro. Those kids come out the womb skiing. No, okay. Well,
I don't know. Yeah.
Listen, they just do, and so that makes sense. You know, second place is good. I don't mind losing to Norway, but I'm not gonna lie. My worst colors come out watching the Olympics.
Really?
Dude, we're playing. You know, we're gonna play Canada in a few weeks here, and or in a few days for gold.
Men's hockey.
Men's hockey.
About? Yeah.
That's like the only thing I really care about because it's like the best level. It's the best. Hockey is the best sport when it's like the highest level, and especially when it's like U.S. versus Canada. Like last year with the Four Nations face-off. You know, I remember last year with all the fights in the games.
That was sweet.
Check out Four Nations face-off like fight. Like,
I hope
dude,
there's more fights. That'd be awesome.
No, actually, fun. I was reading. You can't fight in the Olympics.
What?
You get? If you fight, you're kicked out of the rest of you get the 5-minute major. You're kicked out of the game, and you're suspended for the next game.
That's stupid. But it's hockey. Like, come on.
Listen, the Olympics is to promote peace, Clay.
Oh my god.
That's why the Russians.
Who cares?
That's why the Russians
peace?
are still.
We
banned.
care about winning.
I know.
Anyway,
my colors when we play Canada, I'll say a lot of inappropriate things at the TV probably because I just want like listen. There's only three times in a calendar year where I get fired up and patriotic. It's one is the Olympics, two is the World Cup, and then the 4th of July.
I feel like you're always hyped up and patriotic all the time.
No, I'm not patriotic. I am not.
If you know Damon, you'll know he gets hyped up all the time.
I get hyped, but about America, I only get hyped up those 3 times.
Gotcha.
Like I'm like the most. You think I'm the most redneck person because I'm just like for king and country, nothing else matters. But I guess the Super Bowl too. But
let's go.
I think you need to have a reframe of mind about your patriotism. Okay, it doesn't matter whether you're left, whether you're right, where you stand. Know what that means, you just stand in the middle of the aisle, the politics. Okay, and reframe your thinking what it means to be a good American. Okay.
Dang, bro.
Look at that smooth transition.
Shoot, I don't even know what that means, but yeah, we're here.
So what are we talking about today for anyone who's confused?
So we're going to be talking about a reframe. This episode's called In Need of a Reframe.
What is a reframe?
Reframe.
What are we even talking about?
Reframing things. I'll get into it. But, this last week I was, just having like a normal week. I feel like I'm in the normal grind of getting things done, being productive, doing my day-to-day things. And I think that that's great. Like that's normal. It's just the normal grind of life. But then it seems like all of a sudden I'll have one negative thought or one negative interaction. And then all of a sudden I feel a little bit less motivation, and then like hardship comes in, and then some like a bit of frustration, and that may lead to like anxiety or negative thoughts. I feel like this is something that like a lot of Christians go through. It's like everything is going great, and then one negative thing happens, and then it like negatively impacts you. And I want to touch on this a little bit because this isn't specifically what we're talking about for this episode. I'm not specifically talking about like something that's extremely difficult in your life. I think of like death or divorce or job loss, money problems. I definitely like, I see those as like tests and trials that are talked about in James. And in those moments, like we're supposed to like press into those moments, maybe pray to God, like, hey God, I'm struggling right now. Help me push through this. What are you teaching me? What am I not seeing? And it's like, that's probably another episode for another time. But for
So just
this
to
episode,
clarify for our listeners, we're not talking about big, heavy grief things. We're
Totally.
talking about like minor inconveniences that ruin our daily rhythms.
Totally. Yeah, 100. Yeah, for this episode, I want to focus on like, our everyday, day-to-day difficulties, the small things, like discontentment. I want to talk about like shifting a mindset, maybe we'll talk about like time management a little bit more, mindset, like money reframes. And so, yeah, my goal of this episode is to like show you, the listener, that we all have our own blessings. We all have our gifts from God. He's given us all amazing things. And, I think it's so easy to get like jealous of what other people have, what other people are doing. And, sometimes I'll go through life and I'm like, man, why am I just jealous all the time? Why am I feeling so much jealousy, discontentment? And I think that like if you're having jealousy in your life consistently, that's something that needs a reframe, and you should press into that. And so like God, he's given us so much seed. God is always sowing seeds into our lives. He's always giving us gifts. How do we grow and harvest those seeds? How do we manage that seed that he's given us? So it's like a reframe.
I love
And
that.
so this last week, I was, for my classes we do, it's like role play activities. I'm in therapy. We're like going through difficult like situations in our life, what we're going through. And it's great because you like play the counselor to someone else, the therapist to someone else. And then afterwards they give you a bunch of feedback. And when this girl who was like, I was doing, the role play with, when she was like being the therapist for me and I was talking about my issues, I was kind of talking about this, just like, I don't know, everyday discontentment. And she's like, I think that you're involved in a lot and you see a lot of things as things that you have to do, when really you should reframe and see those things as things you get to do that nobody else gets to do. And I was just thinking about like everything that I get to do on a day-to-day basis that I take for granted. And it's like, man, just seeing God's provision in all of those things, like being able to lead a Bible study, have a solid job, like get to do lighting, get to, record podcasts. It's like, man, I really needed that reframe of like, man, I get to do these things and it's exciting for me. And that just really helps me throughout the rest of that whole entire week. And so for this episode, I really want to go through like 4 common things, 4 common patterns, negative thought patterns that Christians get into, and then reframe them, talk about how we can reframe them, and give just practical wisdom on reframing those negative thoughts and difficulties that come up.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the biggest one. That's where it starts, though, that have to versus get to. I remember when I was on staff at Red Rocks Church, that became a staff vision thing, actually, that everyone's saying, like, because they wanted to bring back Saturday services.
Heck no.
Bro,
it's the worst.
If you ever work at a church or you want to do Saturday, just so you know, it is the worst thing for your church staff, okay? Your team will burn out, your people. Saturday service are the worst.
Add on a 4th service on Sunday. Like never add on a Saturday service.
Dude, Saturday. I don't care who we aren't reaching, bro.
We have families, we have friendships, all right? We have social lives. Okay. Please stop the Saturday services. I feel like I'm talking from past trauma.
No, same, bro. Unless it's Easter. Easter and Christmas are fine. Easter and Christmas are fine. Yeah. But that's it.
Facts.
10 service on Sunday for like, okay, anyway. That was, I think we need to go to therapy for that. I have a lot more to say. But because of that, they wanted to bring out this motto, because no one wants to work Saturday service. The have to versus get to. Like, man, I have to work this Saturday. I have to do this. I have to do this. That's so negative.
Mm-hmm.
And when our call is to be people of light, people of love, people of joy, saying, I have to take care of this. I have to take care of my spouse, my girlfriend. I have to take out the trash. I have to do the dishes. Instead, everything can be joyful noise to the Lord. Everything can be to be worship to the Lord. So, man, I get to do the dishes. You can pray while you're doing it. Everything can be joyful. It's just I mean, I'm a little more optimistic. I know not everyone is, but like if you have that optimistic view on everything just becomes lighter. It becomes easier. Mm-hmm. Not everything becomes so heavy, like, oh, I didn't do the dishes. My life is ruined. It's like, oh, I forgot to do the dishes. Oh, I'll just do them right now, And so the heavy things become light and the lighter things become nothing, and just they become fun. You can make chores fun. I kind of coined this term, fall in love with washing dishes.
Yeah.
You mentioned, so that's the main thing. So maybe you need to pause and like you need to reframe the have to versus get to. But Clay, what's the first of the 4 patterns that we're going to get into today?
Yeah. So the first pattern I see all the time is Christians saying that they feel anxious all the time. You know, they're always nervous, always overthinking. What do I do? You know, I've talked to a couple different friends and they're like, yeah, I'm always like overthinking things, over processing things, having anxiety over things. And so, I don't know, to kind of address that, I think that sometimes there's anxiety in our life that's being sown in by other people in our lives. So I think it's an important question to ask, like, who am I surrounded with? Who's feeding into me? Is it social media? I think that like social media, I think it's terrible for like middle schoolers and high schoolers because it's just setting us up to be discontent with our lives. We're constantly comparing our lives to other people. And so I'm like, man, I think that that's a way that our society sows in like anxiety and insecurity into our lives. So that's what I would start to say about that. And I think that like the reframe from that, we can see in the Bible. You know, it talks about like, don't worry about anything, pray about everything. Recently started doing like a thought journal, you know, talking to God about like, what am I going through? What may have been like hurting my feelings recently? Did I have a negative conversation with someone? Did something happen that I wasn't really expecting? And I found that the notes app in my phone is amazing for doing that, like processing through my emotions, being completely honest with God, going to Him and seeing what He has to say. And I truly believe that anxiety and emotions aren't reality. They're a signal. They're a signal to look at. They're not reality in our lives. So like, I don't know, some will say I'm anxious. That must mean my life sucks. You know, my life must be extremely difficult. I must be like going through a difficult time right now. When I would say in most cases, a lot of it, you just need a reframe of, you know, you're having negative emotions, maybe because you're tired, maybe because you're, I don't know, hungry, stressed out. And it's like, man, we can reframe that. And I've reframed that in my life. What do you think, David?
Yeah, I think too with like a lot of anxieties. I can think of a situation of like, I know recently I was locked outside my house, which is the second time that's happened in the last
Oh,
3 months. Listen,
Uh,
I'm
it's
bad.
struggling.
I know, bro. It's bad. I gotta stop leaving the house without my keys. And in those moments, you just man, like, what's the worst case that's gonna happen in the situation?
Mm.
Okay, like the worst case. Let's say I don't have my phone. I'm locked out. All the doors and windows are locked. I'm breaking a window or buying a new window. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm.
or you're calling a locksmith, or like that. In that situation, that is the worst case. Like, I'm losing a few $100. Obviously, that's like, that could be a lot of money for some people. And at the end of the day, like, the Lord will provide. Like, if you're anxious about money, that just like tells me like you don't believe that the Lord will provide.
Mhm.
Um, I think I had a recent situation where I just felt like overwhelmed about money, and I'm like, Lord, I'm stressed. I'm just stressed. I wasn't anxious because I believed that God was going to provide. I'm like, I'm stressed about this. Lord, I give you my emotions. I'm realizing emotions are good. Like, we don't ignore them. Like you said, emotions tell us what our body's
They're a
doing.
signal,
Yeah,
but they're not reality.
I love it. And like, they're good. You should like respond well after processing them. But like, if you're like consistently like stressed about something, like maybe you should actually like act on it, or maybe you need to pray, or anxiety should trigger prayer, like whatever the case may be. Like, if you're
Mhm.
if you're sad, maybe you should go talk to someone. Like, whatever the case may be, emotions are good.
Yeah, I found for me, like when my emotions are low, when places that I usually go for a dopamine hit aren't hitting anymore. Like I don't know, certain foods, or for me, it's like, you know, listening to podcasts. Sometimes it's just like not hitting as much, and that can be a reason why I'm feeling a little bit more anxious, a little bit more down. I think that we rely on dopamine a lot for
Mhm.
many different things.
Yeah, and to finish up that story just real quick, like I
Mhm.
don't know, like the Lord did provide like money, like I didn't have to like pay a certain bill, and I got like got extra money that month, and I was
Let's
like,
go.
whoa, like, and I don't know, like, I'm not that's not like a prosperity gospel thing, but like I just think like the Lord does provide, like when you live a life like fully submitted to Him. Like, He takes care of it. He takes care of you in every way.
Mhm.
And these things come for free, or like, I'm not saying that's going to be the case for everybody, but I know like anxious about money is a big thing, and then anxious about relationships is a big one. Like, newsflash, there isn't the one. I don't really believe in that. But like, God will provide it. Like, if God's put it on your heart, that like you want to get married and you want to have family and children and like rewrite your family tree, like starting with you with like with your family following Jesus, like he will bless that.
God's not gonna be like, psych, you have the gift of singleness.
They're crazy, bro. I hate you. I hate when you say that. You're really gifted, huh? No, I'm just kidding.
That's crazy.
And no, and the Lord will like grant you the desires of your heart. He says that in Proverbs 4, I think. Somewhere in Proverbs at least. But like only like Proverbs or Psalms. But he will give you the desires of your heart when you're like submitted to his law, submitted to his commandments. And so I think maybe that's where you, like some of your anxieties can come from too, of like when you're just really in a prayerful relationship with the Lord.
Facts.
All right. What is number 2?
Number 2, I hear all the time from Christians. They're like, man, like time is just moving so fast. I don't have time for anything. My life is always so busy. I'll never get my head above water. And so it's like, yeah, how can someone our age practically reframe their mindset? And the first thing I would say, the first thing that comes to mind is maybe if you're feeling extremely busy, make a list of priorities of things that you do in your everyday life, that you do on a week-to-week basis, and just make a list of like, here's the things that are the main priority. Maybe that's like your job. For me, it's school. Friendships are probably up there on your priorities list. But then I probably have like 5 things that are things that like I really enjoy doing on a week-to-week basis, and maybe they are important and like building for my future. But like if I was able to go a week without doing that thing, I would still be okay. And so yeah, I would say like make a list of priorities if you feel like there's not enough time, and figure out like what needs to be moved up, what maybe needs to go down on that list. So that's what I would say at first. But I would also say that people our age have so much time. Like everybody in this whole entire world, they have the same exact amount of time. Whether you're a billionaire, whether you're poor, we all have the same exact amount of time. And so I think that like if you're our age, if you're someone in like their lower 20s, your time is the number one thing that you have. Like if you steward the next 30 years extremely well, you can be rich. There can be so many blessings in your life. And so I don't think that there's a way to like get rich quick. I think like getting rich quick schemes, there's no such thing as that. And so I would say like learn to invest. If you don't know what the word compound interest means, learn it right now. Like leave this podcast, figure out what is compound interest. It's like the eighth wonder of the world. Like learn about compound interest, like research Dave Ramsey. There's so many ways that you can be stewarding your money extremely well right now.
I would say the most important word you can learn that's more important than compound interest. Well, that's 2 words. So the third, this is the top of the 3. Right. Okay. Yeah. Is no. I think a lot of us, our schedules, we're busy. Yeah, it's because you have 80 hours worth of work, and our bodies were designed for anywhere between 40 and 50. Like you have so much on your plate, and it's unhealthy, and you need to get rid of stuff. And all the stuff on your plate for Christians, it's normally all good stuff. It's all good, but you need to get rid of some of the good to let some of the stuff be great in your life. Do what you need to do, the things that God has called you to do. Like let's say you have 7 different things you do, or if you're going out every single night, that's too much. I think you need to be resting well, and you need to like make margin in your life for Jesus. I don't have time for God. Make time for him. He doesn't need you to be. I know one thing that's really popular in our culture is to like go to young adults, and not just in Denver, but across Christian culture, to go to young adults and to go to church and to be a part of 2 different Bible studies. No. Like figure out what you need and like do that well. I'm not saying like you don't need to be a part of 3 different Bible studies. Just be part of one. Like be a part of one, be committed, deeply committed to those people, be like in deep relationship with those people. And like, that's good. And so I just think for some of you need what we call developing. It's a very like thing of like monasticism from like, kind of like mid-century Christianity. This thing Brother Lawrence calls a rule of life. A rule of life, it's kind of like, at least for me, I've kind of adapted a little bit, but I have the things that I say yes or no to based off my rule of life. I'm going to do this every morning. This is my nighttime routine. And like, this is just the rule I live my life for in this season. And then too, when someone opportunity arises, someone asked me to come with them and be on like part of like a conference with them. and I looked at my rule of life, and I have 4 main areas that I'm focusing on, and it didn't fit in one of those 4 categories. So my answer was just no. Obviously, I prayed about it, but it helps get rid of the decision paralysis of like, do I do it? What if it's a big opportunity? No. Just say no. Like, you're allowed to say no to things, and you don't have to feel bad. You say, hey, no, I'm unable to do it, and you move on. And if the other person's going to be anxious towards you, like, no, I really need you to do it, like, you say no to the opportunity. Obviously, like when it comes to your friendships or people you're in community with, like you shouldn't be saying no to those people. My rule of life doesn't allow me to say like no to those things. Like I say yes to the things that like, because if not, I'll say yes to everything. That's just who I am. I'm slightly of a people pleaser. So to not be people pleaser, I have a rule on like things that help me to say no easier.
That's really good. That's great. And I think that like in the secular world, it's very common where people, they spend their free time and they look forward to like partying and going clubbing every single night. And I would say that like as Christians, we're made to be like different than the world. We're supposed to look different than the world. And I think that there's like no shame at all if you decide that instead of partying, like I'm going to incorporate solitude or prayer or scripture reading into my life. Just figuring out like what's the wise way to spend my time. I think of like wealthy people, they spend their time writing a book or critically thinking about things, sitting down and critically thinking about things. They're highly motivated. They're always trying to build motivation. I think of like, the story of I worked at State Farm Stadium in Arizona, and there was this job. I was called like a ground utility, and I would go around like setting up truss structures and cameras and, just like building things. I don't know, putting up like different arches and stuff all around the stadium. And there were guys I knew there who, they had been like, I don't know, I probably made like $20 an hour, like probably
Basic
a bit
income.
above,
A little bit
minimum
above
wage, and I knew people who were there for like 15 years, and that's what they had been doing for the last 15 years. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, is this where you want to be for your whole entire life? I just see that as such a waste of time.
Yeah.
And so I think
unless
it's
God has called you to set up arches.
I don't know, bro. I don't
listen. There's always caveats. Okay, there's always caveats.
I think we got to take more ownership over our time, and it's like, especially for people our age, like you could decide to finish a master's degree, or you could finish a doctor's degree and still be in your 20s at our age. Like I'm meeting so many people in my classes who it's like they're 45, 50, 60, and they're just deciding now I'm going to start my master's degree. It's like, man, for people our age, you have so much time to decide what you want to do. And I think it's so common for us to like steward our time and sow our time into like Netflix and movies, mindless YouTube entertainment, when it's like, man, we need to start like reading our Bible or like constantly be learning. Maybe that's from like books or podcasts. I'll even go as far to say like AI is a great time to like, I don't know, process things, like research with AI and ask it like, man, like how do I save money for my future? I need to create like a 5-year money plan. How do I get there? I think AI is a great tool that we can use.
It's super good for reverse engineering and creating plans. Actually, it's actually a really good processing tool. That's actually how I helped create my rule of life. I actually asked it a bunch of questions and spent like an hour with it.
That's cool.
Super, super useful. Yeah. And honestly, at the end of the day, like you're going to be judged, or God will judge you for the use of your time. Like you were a steward of your time on this earth. How did you build God's kingdom?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know, like who do you want to be? And two, like when it comes to like you said something about like clubbing that like really stuck out to me. It's like, I don't know, like I think we went, like I don't actually never been to a club, but like we've had parties and stuff like that, and sometimes afterwards I'm like, why did we do that? Like that was dumb. Like
I knew people in college who like, I went to GCU and it's right next to ASU. I knew people in college who like that's all they would look forward to is like fraternity parties and clubbing and going to ASU, going on like the strip and like walking around to different clubs. And I'm like, man, that's just so empty.
It's like, yeah, it's not even like, honestly, it's not even fun.
Mm-hmm.
It's just you're just drinking and trying to have sex. That's all that is. And that means you're like you're just desiring something that like you should be trying to find in God and not in the world, really.
Yeah, Jonathan Pokluda, he talks about, he used to do that. In college, he was in a fraternity and he would look forward to clubbing and doing all of that. And he said that whenever he was at clubs, him and all of his friends would be like, man, like, wouldn't it be awesome if we like went backpacking, like went on a mission trip, we're doing all these amazing things. And that was always just like a thought in the back of their mind. And then he said that he became Christian and he actually started like backpacking, going on mission trips, like helping people, helping the homeless. He's doing all these productive things, and it just took him getting out of like that club culture to realize that.
All right,
Yeah.
let's move on to our third mindset reframe. We've kind of touched on it
Mhm.
a little bit because I think it's just so important.
Mhm.
And these topics are also connected too. But our third one is not having enough money and
Mhm.
how you can reframe your thoughts on money.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's just common. Like I don't know, it's something that's like always I'm sort of thinking about. It's like, man, like need to make more money. Like, how am I using my money? Am I budgeting well? And so I would say that like, everyone has a little bit of money or like some people have a lot of money. I think that like making a budget is huge. Like, where is all of my money going? Last year, I have this short story. Last year, I was going through and like really getting into investing. I was loving investing. I'm not going to say like the sum of money, but I was like investing a certain sum of money into investing every single month. And I'm like, man, I love this. Like, I'm enjoying it. And then I would get to the end of the month and I was always short on money. I'm like, man, like, where's all my money going? And I'm not saying you should do this, but like for the last like 3 days of each month, I was like putting like my everyday expenses onto my credit card and just like paying it off the next month. And I knew that like that wasn't the thing that I should be doing. That wasn't the wise thing to be doing. And so I downloaded the Every Dollar app by Dave Ramsey just to see like where is all my money going. And I realized that I was investing too much money, and the money like I had enough money to be investing like half the amount of money that I was investing.
Dang, bro.
Yeah, and I was just so
That's
excited about it.
bad.
But I feel like that's how most people operate. They don't know what subscriptions their money is going into. They don't know like where is all my money going to. They're relying on credit cards. It's like, yeah, put together a budget, figure out like how much money am I making? How much money do I have to invest, to save? Where's all my money going to?
Yeah. Here's some other basic things first of all, like the most basic thing, don't spend more than you make. That's the first thing. Don't go into debt. And if you have debt, your first priority should be paying off the debt. Honestly. And then two, you should have like an emergency fund. So some people say anywhere between like 3 and 6 months. So like, what does it take for you to live off the bare minimum to live, rent, food, gas, and like essential bills? And when I say food, I mean the grocery store only, not DoorDash or fast food. What does it take for the bare minimum to live off for 36 months, 3 to 6 months? That's like an emergency fund you should have. Like Clay said, find out what the word compound interest means. Like, do you have a retirement built up? Like, do you have a 401k or a 403b open? Do you have a Roth IRA open? And if you don't know what that is, just go look it up. It's super, like, you just read a couple things. It's quite simple, and they make it look confusing. It's really not. Do you have, I don't know, like, maybe you're like, I don't know about stocks. Find someone, not like, find some sort of like, there's honestly not, I don't know if you know this or not, but there's like these robo accounts that are like, that AI manages like on like an account like SoFi or Fidelity or Robinhood, which are, if you don't know, financial institutions where you can invest your money in. And it takes like, instead of having people do it now, it's like, I think like they take every like a quarter of a cent or something like that, like for every dollar or something like that. And they make more money actually doing that, but then it doesn't even cost you anything. So if you really don't know what you're doing, you can just put money into that. And it's like, it's kind of like an S&P 500 where it's like, it's going to gain like a certain percentage, like 10% every year. And I don't know if people know this or not, but like if your money just sits in a bank account, it loses value because there's inflation and like money. Inflation means like your money decreases in value. That's why things cost more, like because as more money's printed and there's more money out circulating in the world, the value of the USD, a dollar, decreases. So like instead of a dollar being worth $1, it's worth 80 cents now or whatever.
Yeah. I believe like inflation rates, they go up like 4 or 5% each year. So it's like if you have your money in a savings account that's not gaining any interest, you're technically like losing 4 or 5% on your money each year.
Yeah, it's bad.
So it's like, yeah, it's something to research. I think that like a lot of people will pay for a lot of things that are negative, that feed our flesh. And it's like, why are we not tithing and feeding our spirit? And I think that like, wealthy people, we've talked about, they don't buy lottery tickets, they don't gamble, they don't smoke. I'm seeing like a lot of wealthy people, they're saying they don't drink alcohol anymore. Like
alcohol is so expensive.
Yeah, there's a tax on sin. Like you could add up like all the money that you spent on like sin, and it's going to be a high number. Like, yeah, like you said, alcohol adds up. It's just, we think it's like inexpensive, but like, I don't know, you go to the bar and a drink is at least like $6. If you want like a specialty cocktail, it's like $10.
$12, bro.
10 or 12. Yeah, it's crazy, dude. And so, yeah, like you can be pretty wealthy by the money that you just save from not sinning. And, you touched on like budgeting. I think it's a great place to start off with like, 10% of your money should go towards tithing,
Oh,
10% to
100%.
be generous, 10% to saving, 10% to investing. And then you can live off of 60%. It's like figure out like a budget for you that works for you. Another big thing is like, man, we have so many people at church who know how to spend their money well. Like when I'm sitting in church, I'm like, man, there's people in front of me, there's people behind me, there's people on the sides of me that are a wealth of knowledge, a wealth of wisdom. So it's like, talk to people at your church, figure out like, who's really good with money, who's not really good with money. I think that you would be surprised about like the different wisdom that different people at your church have.
Oh,
So
100%. And like, I don't know too, like even if you make like $25 an hour and work a full-time job, like, I don't know, that's like, that's about like $50,000 a year.
mhm.
And like, if you're single income and you don't really have like many, like you don't have kids or like a ton of extra bills or debt, like you can actually like, you could become like really wealthy. Like, honestly, like you could like end up buying a house off that salary and like affording a mortgage. Like you can afford stuff off that. It's just like, one, it takes time, but two, it requires like rigorous budgeting. It takes discipline. And honestly, like I've never been happier. Like in the last, like, I don't know, like 2 years, like I've really locked in. Like I've always been pretty good with money, I thought, but I've like really locked in, and it's just like so much fun. Like honestly,
Mhm.
I have fun doing it, and I'm like,
Mhm.
oh, like I'm getting to like build my future kind of not from nothing, right? But like
Mhm.
from not coming from money to like, man, I'm getting to sit up my kids and grandkids so well.
Yeah, I feel so much better like psychologically too. It's like
Mhm.
knowing that like, man, I have an emergency
Yeah,
fund. Like
I'm
I know
fine.
where all of my money is going.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people that just walk through their day-to-day life and don't know where their money is at all and
Yeah.
how to spend it.
Can I say
Yeah.
2 more things about money?
Let's go.
So, if you can't live off 60% that you said, then you have a huge issue.
Hmm.
That means you have too many subscriptions, or one, what you should do is like pull all your bills together, your like debit and Venmo and Cash App, Zelle, credit card, and like track it just for 1 month and see how much money you spent on fast food. And like if you just go to even like a handful of times, like you're like, it's just so much money. Oh, you pay for someone else. You're just trying to be nice. Dude, I had a month where like I didn't really like, I was like over $100. That's when I'm like, all right, I need to lock in. Like I spent like on between like Cane's and Chick-fil-A, and one, that's super unhealthy, and two, it's a terrible use of your money.
Mhm.
I will say though, caveat, like you should treat yourself every once in a while. You should like live the life that like God is like.
Mhm.
Doesn't mean like, oh man, like rich people don't drink alcohol, I'm not gonna drink alcohol. Like no,
Mhm.
you're allowed to have a drink. It's just like if you're going out 3 times a week and you're spending like $200 on restaurants, and like you could spend $200 on, for me, $200 would last of groceries could last me almost 2.5 months. Like
Mhm.
if I did it right,
Mhm.
and so
Yeah.
that's just what it
Overall, I
is.
would say like it's person to person, like figuring out your
100%.
own budget. Like obviously we're both like we have our own lives and wisdom for ourselves and people our age, but it's like, if you're listening and you're older, like just figure out like a budget. Like I don't know, figure out where all of your money is
Yeah.
going to. Start somewhere. That's all I would say on that. But we got one more
What is it?
area of life to reframe. And number 4 is, and I hear this all the time, it's, I hear it from Christians where they say, I'm just tired of church. I
Oof.
don't learn anything. I don't want to serve. Christians have hurt me in the past. I'll talk to some Christians that say, I love God, but I just don't want to go to church. What's like your first instinct? What's your first thing to say to these people? What's on your mind?
If you love God, you love His commandments, and if you love His commandments, you'd be in church and serve.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, facts.
Honestly, like I don't know. Obviously there's church hurt. Like I like that aside, but if you're like, oh man, like I don't know, like I don't want to go to, I don't know, that's kind of soft, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Like you got to be in church. Like I work at a church. I don't want to be at church every weekend either. I don't always want to be like under other people's authority. Like it requires humility. It's not always easy. People aren't easy all the time. It's easier to go live under a rock some days.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say, oh, I'm not learning anything. That's actually, I think, a good sign in most cases. Obviously, there's bad theology. There aren't great churches. That does exist. Like that, but that's like the 1%. Okay. For the other 99% of you guys, like, oh, I don't feel spiritually fed at church anymore. Yeah, guess what? Because that means you're growing. And a lot of churches, they're this very like seeker friendly, like newcomer church. Like it's very
sharing the gospel,
very gospel centered, which is
amazing.
There's certain churches are their arms, certain churches are the head, certain churches are the feet of Christ. Great, whatever. We're not here to talk about that. one, maybe you need to like, maybe for some, if you're like, oh, like that's a church you go to and it's very, very like that. A lot of more mega churches are like that. Maybe you need to switch churches. I don't know. Maybe you pray a lot about it and God called you that. But I would say for most of you though, you guys got to buckle up, serve those people, newer people in your church, invite them into your community. And honestly, though, that means you need more time in prayer and the word, though. Like, that's the biggest thing. Oh, I'm not being fed because your pastor isn't responsible for feeding you.
Mhm.
You are responsible for feeding
Facts.
you. You're not a baby in Christ anymore, as Paul would say. Like, you can't just live off spiritual milk. Like, you need spiritual meat, as Paul says in 1 Corinthians. And so you need to learn to be disciplined. You need to grow, and it's painful. Like John 14 and 15, like Jesus says it in John 16, like things are going to be hard in this life. There's going to be trials. There's going to be suffering. Peter talks about suffering. Acts talks, almost every book in the New Testament talks about suffering for the name of Christ. And the amount of suffering we do in Western Christianity is very little. And so you just need to suck it up and start praying on your own and start diving in and asking God what steps you need to take. But my guess would be it's more time in the secret place. That's how you grow and get fed, or listen to the long game. I don't know, that works too.
Yeah, dude, I'm going to build off of that, 'cause that was really good. I see it time and time again. A common theme in scripture is that your job on this earth is to die to yourself, die to your selfish wants. And we see the church is Jesus's bride. So it seems like Jesus thought that the church was really important and something to be a part of. And so I don't know, as a seasoned believer, I would argue that the reason that you go to church shouldn't be because of your head pastor, because you love, being entertained by your head pastor. I would say your job at church is to steward the gifts that you have, however you feel gifted within the church. You're there to pour into other people,
to build up the saints for the work of the ministry.
Yeah, you need to put yourself in the soil of that church and die to yourself, die to your selfish wants every single day. So it's I probably at my church, I'm probably on most weekends not going to learn anything from the message, not going to learn anything from the pastor. Some weeks,
and because of the type of church you go to,
for sure. But new believers or non-believers are gaining so much from it. And it's I should be there and want to be there because I'm dying to myself, dying to my wants, and I'm fulfilling the needs of other people, pouring into them by being there. So it's I just think it's selfishness when Christians are yeah, I've been going to church for a long time. I don't need to go to church anymore. It's you're missing out on blessings. People are missing out on blessings that you have to offer them. You're supposed to be there to pour into other people. It's not there to, you're not there to be there and be entertained by the pastor and I don't know, laugh at his jokes. You're there to pour into other people, pour into those people around you, be involved in a small group, be involved in a ministry, serve at your church, build up other people. That's what I would say on that topic.
That's good, man. I could keep adding all these little things, but it just requires it's a lack of the end of the day, it's a lack of humility. And obviously if it's an additional thing, it's an extra service you're going to and it's not edifying, okay, then maybe don't go, right? I don't know. I think there's situations for that, but I think for the I don't know, if God is calling you to into something. Oh, this is the thing I wanted to say about time, the way you manage your time, and also for church too. When you're deciding to choose a career path or a church, man, stay planted. That's when you see the most reward. Oh, you joined a new church and you didn't meet anybody. Oh, there's no young people. I'm going to go to a new church. And you go to new church, or new job. Well, I don't feel connected or anyone knows me. Yeah, because you haven't stayed for more than 3 months. The people that are the most known and loved at this church have been attending this church since it planted 60 years ago, the Crossroads when I work at.
Oh, yeah.
And I think the first maybe 6 months was a little tough for me, but I stayed in the fight, and obviously I work here, so it's different. But then now I'm 2 years in, and I'm dude, I know all these people, and I'm even though I work here, I feel so part of the community, and doesn't mean I agree with everything or it's necessarily even for me, but I still feel deeply connected and a part of the community, and that there is something for me every single week, whether it's in the message or not.
That's good. That's really good. Yeah, it provides community. All right. Anything else? Do you have anything else to add? I don't have anything.
No, I think I see a flame over your head right now, though. Shoot, so holy, bro. After this episode.
That's crazy, bro. Put it out.
You just wiped it away. What? That's got to be a sin. We're adding a fifth topic, confession. No.
Yeah.
No, I have nothing else to say. I'm worded out. Word limit hit.
Awesome. Me too. Well, thank you guys so much for listening. Leave us a 5-star review on Spotify, subscribe on YouTube, like our posts, comment, all the things. Thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll see you next week.
See ya.